Oki. Ita Mexico. Good day. It is closing in on the noon hour. Midday of Thursday. My favorite round of the week. June 18th, 2020. Still technically within the flower moon, although the last few rounds it's been overcast like this, drizzly throughout the day, some thunder showers and heavy rains at night. And so, basically we're into the pattern of the next lunar cycle, which is the long rains. I've been on parent duty since the weekend. So this is my first kind of day off to come back and visit at the pond. Gonna take my time today, meander, look at some of the things that's going on, starting with this redhead duck who's feeding out here. I'm gonna get my iPhone out so you can have a good look. And I already see some other things that are new or that I haven't noted in my recent videos that I should probably note. So, gonna do a round of the pond, maybe give some updates. There's not a whole lot exciting going on, but I'll tell you what has been shaken. And yeah, just enjoy the afternoon at the pond. Here is the redhead drake. Found a little pool here to feed in. He's probably going down and getting milfoil or something of that order. I'm not sure. His missus may very well have a nest somewhere in the reeds along the wet meadow. But one would require waders to go looking for that nest, and one would have difficulty doing it in an air boot. Not that I can't take the air boot off, but what I'm saying is I'm not prepared to wade today, perhaps, to find the female. Anywhere out there on the wet meadows is wet right now, and especially where the redhead's nest is always above water. So I don't know if his mate's still here or not. Might wait to find out until we see ducklings. Who's this? Oh, eastern kingbird. Eastern kingbird. He's one that I don't think that I've noted in my recent videos, although he's been here probably a week and a half, 2 weeks even. It's an insect-eating bird. He'll kind of hang out on a perch like this, watch what's going on over the water, and then skim out and catch insects. Maybe he'll let us get closer to him, I don't know. No, he doesn't like me. Oh, he got something right there, I think. He flew up, maybe got a damselfly or something. Many of the absent stems are just absolutely covered with aphids right now. these aphids will be farmed by some of the ants for their nectar. And I would also expect to see some other insects out here feeding on them. Of course, lady beetles, and there are different insects whose larvae stage specializes in aphid feeding. So I'll be looking for those. But right now, there's just these aphids, and I can't really get close enough to give you a species like look at them, but we get the genera. Should note that this flower just emerging here at ground level, scarlet globe mallow, which I'll have to look in my little Blackfoot dictionary in my phone to find out its Blackfoot name. It might be Amachdapis tsishkits, the red flower, but I'll look at it. I want to find out kingbird too. I think it's something like, starts with meanie, because it has to do with him hoarding berries, although it can't be talking about this eastern kingbird. It must be the western, because eastern kingbirds are really insectivores. I don't know. Anyway, just a tangent. But that scarlet globe mallow, as lore has it, is a plant that the Sspopiikimis, the old time like healers and stuff, would use when some of their instruments, sometimes when they were using something to cauterize or give an intense heat or something like this. Sometimes they would boil things in water and then reach into the boiling water with their bare hands and pull their instruments out and place them on the patient's body. And it was a miraculous thing that they could reach into boiling water, obviously. But as lore has it, if you take that plant, the scarlet globe mallow, and chew it up, spit it onto your hands, and rub it around, it puts this little shield over your skin that enables you to briefly reach into boiling water and extract something. Now, I can tell you that I've gone so far as to chew up the plant and spit it on my hand, and I could feel and almost see. I mean, I could see it, but if you weren't looking for it, you might not see it. In the context of healing and stuff in the old days, you might not see that there was a sheath of viscous slime, in a sense, that had dried over the hand of the Sspopiikimi who was reaching into the boiling water. But that's as far as I went, like getting it on my hands and stuff, seeing that there is some kind of sheath that it puts a viscous sheath over your hand. But am I going to reach into boiling water? I think I'll leave that for somebody else to experiment with. Oh, we got a couple of Sspopiikimi here. Oh, and they've got goslings. Let me get out my iPhone. I'll give you a closer look. These goslings are eating the flowers, maybe seed pods, leaves, something off of the lens potted hoary cress. And that's what they're after. A wild mustard. Nice spicy food. Saskatoon berries are looking good. I'm going to be monitoring all the plants out here. Trying to stay ahead of the birds, though they sometimes take them before they're really ripe. Ripe that I would eat. Just going to go up this way. Check out some of the area below heritage snake grounds, see if there's anything happening over that way. Just gonna move underneath the high level bridge here, but I noticed something spectacular. Look at this. This is all skunk brush sumac berries. Not quite ripe yet. but well on their way. And just the fact of the height of the plant, this is my shoulder height, hey, that this plant is growing. I don't know if I can even show it here in perspective, but this is a large plant for a skunk brush sumac, and the berries are so plump. I'm almost tempted to take one. They're not ready yet, though. Not even the birds are taking them, so I'm going to leave them. But these berries become like high citrus berries. They get this sticky citric acid all over the outside of their skin. If you throw them in water, they turn your water into lemonade. If you eat them straight, they're like munching on Sour Patch Kids candy. You know, they're very high citric. I've not figured out any kind of way to preserve them. You really have to take them in season, but you can get a lot of vitamin C at that point. I suppose you could freeze them nowadays. Here's the currants, their current state. The current state of the currants. They're starting to golden on this plant. Obviously a golden currant. Yeah, all these skunk brush berries are looking pretty nice. I'm so tempted to take one. Not yet. Not yet. They need to redden up a bit. Get more potent. Private property. No trespassing. Yeah. Don't be doing any weird stuff below this bridge. It's the bridge itself that's the private property strip. Hey. There's the sign for the other side. Just wandering through bull snake territory here and noticing how swollen the river still is, and remembering that there is still a third girl who is in the water somewhere, drowned, we all assume at this point, because her two friends who were in the same canoe upstream that overturned the other day were found drowned, but haven't found her body yet, to my knowledge. I've been wanting to go through the city water intake canal with a grappling hook again to clear debris as I dismantled the growing beaver lodge there and try to catch the other beaver. And I'll probably do some of that work later this afternoon, but I'm a little bit afraid to do it because that's the kind of area where you might run into something unexpected in the drift, you know. And they did send boats along the weir downstream, just downstream from there, to dredge, but I don't think they did in that intake culvert there. So I'm a little afraid to do what I want to do there. Not that that's my main concern. It'd be nice to get some closure for those families. This is a prickly pear flower. Good to note. Some of the, and look, you have here a bee. I'll try to get my iPhone out and give you a closer look here. Hold on. So this is one of our indigenous species here. And you can just see it's just packing pollen on. She's gonna take off with a big pile of pollen when she's worked her way through this flower. Again, this is the prickly pear cactus flower. It's gonna grow a fruit. That fruit is edible, but in this particular variety, this particular species, it's really hard to eat the fruit with it. Look at how deep she's digging in there. She's getting so far in there. Yeah, with this particular species, it's really hard to eat the fruit without getting a bunch of micro slivers in your mouth. Let's wait for her to come out and see how her pollen packs are looking at that point. Hey, that's good stuff. Just hanging out on the coulee slopes. Enjoying something non-political. Although I do got something political I want to talk about. I think I'm going to do it in a separate video though while I'm in the forest main. I record a thought video kind of a thing. Updates, not too much to update on. Look at those packs she's got now. Yeah, it's been wet, so I haven't been getting many snake calls. I do have 1 or 2 video segments that I haven't featured with snakes yet, but I'm going to save that for my end of the month kind of compilation of video segments that I didn't use, the editor's floor stuff. I've been getting skunk calls pretty much daily. But the big contracts that I had for families of skunks are done. So I'm not getting any action at my raccoon calls, and I don't really know why. Wow, she's just packing it. I'm amazed by this bee, how much she's taking. Look at that. It's just globbing it around those back legs. Oh, we got an ant entering the picture. I had no idea she'd take this long. But she's finding a lot of what she wants, you know. Digging deep again, a little bit deep. Maybe we'll leave her. Here is our only other indigenous cactus species, the ball cactus. Its berries are called Sspopiikimi in Blackfoot. Got an ant working its way around there. Not sure who the pollinators are, but flowers are coming into bloom. I've been waiting for the appearance of knapweed. Kind of hoping this is some. There's not much left in my area, I don't think. Might be a little patch over here. the weed pullers, so-called invasive species pullers or whatever, who are invasive species themselves, come and rip them out. This is needle and thread grass. It's fun to play with once it's ready to pluck. Once the seeds are ready, you can take these and use them like little darts and throw them at your friends and fill their backs with grass, hair, seed kind of stuff. It's a nice little patch of that stuff here. I've just dropped down into the forest main and am noting that the star-flowered Solomon seal has gone into seed, or berry, as it were. Nothing that I'm aware you can do with that. I've tasted the berry, it doesn't taste good. I guess the roots, perhaps you can use as a blood clotter or some sort. This is a tall goldenrod, or soon to be tall. Not quite tall yet. Some wild licorice there. On the sprome. Leafy spurge. Hard to tell you what all this was. Some of it was red willow. Some of it was, or red osier dogwood, as they say in English. Some of it was diamond willow. Some of it was bullberry, or buffalo berry, whatever they call it in English. This ant colony survived. They've got this huge hive that must have grown at some period in their colony's history to be this size as it is. It's just gigantic. I'll try to get my foot in perspective, you know. That whole thing in the screen is ant hive. But not many residents, and there hasn't been for some years. In here we have mostly dogbane and this plant that I've yet to identify. This is dogbane going into flower. I think this is the flower that I'm waiting for. I have a picture of from last season that I don't know the identity of, but it was all underneath this Russian olive tree here. I think that's all what this unidentified lower to the ground species is. Of course, we got the horsetail, scoured rush kind of thing here. I don't know exactly what the species of that is. More wet meadows happenings. Just out here in the area of the sub pond, which the beavers created some years ago. I watched the construction happen. But yeah, all of this is used as a kind of secluded area by the birds, especially. Sometimes the beavers and the muskrats, to do things out of sight. You know, for the most part they're hidden from those walking on the path up there. They're definitely hidden from those that primarily walk the path that's all the way on the other side of the forest that way, you know. Really nice to see the wet meadows like this. I've been daydreaming for the past several years of harvesting some cattail shoots and attempting to pickle them as an experiment. How would they pickle? And right now is the time to do that. I should be getting out here with waders and getting active. Right now I'm just a spectator. I'm not really being a human. And I'm blaming it on this thing that I can easily take right off. My leg works perfectly fine, you know. Believe me, several times a day I wonder, why am I wearing this? This is ridiculous, you know? I don't know. Ooh, look at this asparagus. Now really immersed in water, but lots of flowers. That's a good one. Escaped the cull. Still cotton in the air, which I noted the other day. I don't know how far along the forest really is here. I haven't seen, I don't think, the full blossoming here at the wetlands yet this year. And come to think of it, I'm not seeing the little spiders. Not noticing the little spiders yet here. So, which isn't surprising. This little nook is somewhat behind schedule of everything else that's more exposed to the sun in the Lethbridge coulees. This place is a little bit shadowed for most of the day. Just noticing this big pile of sand, tiny little ant hole. Well, a couple of them. Nice sand. Trying to get a look at the development of these goslings. Just on the north end of the pond, feeding at the edge of the wet meadows. They're getting pretty big. See that guy back there eating in the reeds? Starting to get some of the markings of a adult goose. slowly. Slowly and yet fast, you know? Life is pretty quick when you really look at it. Now this is interesting. Coming back around to the other side, I see both the male and female redhead duck. So that kind of solves it for me. This drake is sticking with his woman. She's nested here somewhere close by, probably in the reeds right over here. Tempts me to put on waders and go check, but she's feeding right now. She's not always here with him, but he's here. He's here very consistently, hanging out while she incubates, I guess.